Welcome back to Super Mario Galaxy, the final episode. Kind of. This is the bonus episode, so I'm not really going to count this as a part or an episode. Anyway, that's not important. We're back in this game for the final time. For a few reasons. There are a lot of things I actually did skip over in my initial playthrough of this game. For example, prankster comments and something called Rosalina's Storybook, which will actually be the main focus of this episode, so that's cool and all. But without further ado, let me actually talk about the prankster comments so those don't just slip my mind and I forget to talk about them again. I shouldn't say that. I purposely skipped them because I'm really not a fan of a lot of the prankster comments, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. First of all, I have a lot of things I gotta say before the prankster comments. Sorry, I keep forgetting about them. I got all my information for the prankster comments and for the enemy bios off of the Super Mario Wiki, so I appreciate everyone who contributes to that. That's very cool of you, and I'm glad that I could use that information to actually help my Let's Play. That sounds really weird to say. I don't know why. That's not important, though. That being said, it's a Wikipedia page, so literally anyone can edit it. So if I don't have the right comments, the right prankster comments for this game, if I have extra prankster comments, if I'm missing a prankster comment, I apologize. I really don't know a lot about the prankster comments in this game, so I really wasn't exactly sure what type of prankster comments they had. So, my apologies if I give you any false information. Just tell me that I did, and I will amend it. Thank you very much. Anyway. First of all, they have a speedy comment. This game, I shouldn't say they, this game has a speedy comment. Pretty much they add a timer to a level and they can switch up enemy placement to make the level a bit more difficult. A Daredevil comment makes it so you only have 1 health and you have to be level. A Cosmic comment adds Shadow Mario or Cosmic Mario, whichever one you want to call him. Dear Lord, it doesn't really matter all that much, so you don't have to worry about people shooting you down because you called him Cosmic Mario or Shadow Mario. Either name works. Pretty much you have to do a race with him to get to the end, and if you don't, you die. That's kind of a harsh punishment for losing a race. Next is Fast Foe comment. Pretty much they just speed up the enemies, which is nothing too strange. It can make a few specific levels pretty difficult, but it's really not all that different or difficult to beat, so you don't have to worry too much. And then last but not least, my least favorite of the 5 comments. The purple comment. Purple coins and like 100 coin missions have never been my favorite. So when I learned that there were purple coins in this game, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it. And I can tell you for a fact, the purple coin missions in this game aren't fun. And something that makes them really annoying and kind of just like they're an oddball because a lot of the standard rules that every single mission has, like speedy comment, they don't change it up too much. It's pretty normal, not too much change. The purple coin comments, they can change their rules like that. It's really dumb. For example, sometimes they'll give you more purple coins than you need. Sometimes they'll give you exactly the amount of purple coins you need to beat a mission. And on occasion, something I really hate is they add a time limit to grab all the purple coins. It sucks. I really hate purple coins. But enough of that. That's all the prankster comments. I gave you a brief description of all of them. If you want to actually go try them out, go ahead, be my guest. They're pretty fun. Or some of them, I should say. Some of them are pretty fun. But some can be a massive pain, aka the purple comments. So that's why I like to avoid them as a whole. But anyway, without further ado, before I actually hop into the game, if you press A, there will be a blue glow around the logo. If you press B only, there will be a yellow glow around the logo. I don't know why I find that so cool, but it's just like a nice detail, and I can switch between them, and it's really nice. Also, if you see these sparkles, they will sparkle. Well, that should be a given. I'm pretty stupid. But, if you follow the sparkles, they'll actually spell out. They'll spell out, you are Mr. Gay. That's probably not intentional, until you realize that in Mario Galaxy 2, there are sparkles again. And if you follow them, it says, I am, are you. That's kind of weird, and that's something I really did not expect from Nintendo, and it's like a really neat secret that slipped by for quite a while, but that's just really weird. Anyway, that's not important. Let's actually hop into the game and get into, I'm going to call it post-game, because some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing in this episode, or some of the storybook that I'm going to be reading, actually was only unlocked after you beat the game, so This is gonna be post-game. Welcome back. I knew you would return eventually. Please look down at your feet. This number you see represents the number of power stars you need to access another world. Whether you succeed or fail, just attempting the challenge will show something about your character. Well, I guess my character's pretty bad because I'm not going to be 100%ing this game. Anyway, right here you might have noticed that there's a door that I've never gone into in the, what's this called again? The kitchen? I don't think this area is specifically called the kitchen, it's the dome that's called the kitchen. But in this area of the hub world, there is a place with a book over its door. If we enter...
Let us begin.
Chapter 1, The Celestial Duo. Our story begins a very, very long time ago with a young girl. One day, this girl spotted a rusted spaceship holding a small star child. What's your name? Are you lost? The girl asked the star child. I'm Luma, and I'm waiting for Mama. She's coming to me from on a comet. Oh my lord, this is gonna be bad, said the star child, who had been waiting day and night. Don't worry, I'll wait with you, the little girl promised Luma. At nightfall, the little girl borrowed her father's telescope and peered into the sky. She looked and looked, but she saw nothing. Hours turned into days and then years, but still, the sky revealed nothing. Finally, the little girl sighed and said to Luma, If we stay here looking for much longer, I'll be an old lady soon. But then she had an idea. Why don't we go out there and find your mother ourselves? The girl and Luma fixed up the rusty spaceship, and then the two set sail into the starry sky. And this is how the search for the celestial mother began. Chapter 2, Starbits. Days passed with no sight of the comet, or even a single planet. Instead, asteroids extended for as far as the eye could see. If I had known this was going to take this long, I would have packed more jam, said the little girl above the rumble of her belly. That's what you're worried about. Okay, that's fine, I guess. Before they left, she had packed all the essentials. Telescope, butterfly net, what? That's not essential. Stuffed bunny, bread, milk, jam, and apricot-flavored tea, but... I forgot to bring water! You're gonna die! At this, Luma burst into gales of laughter, and the girl began to pout. As long as I have starbits, I'll be fine, said Luma. Want some? The little girl couldn't stay mad after hearing this. Luma continued to laugh, and the girl couldn't help but join in. Alright, maybe just a nibble. Leaning far out of the ship, the pair began to collect starbits with the girl's net. They almost fell out a few times, but they kept on collecting. The starbits tasted like honey. Chapter 3, The Comet. A beam of light pierced through the ship's window. Thinking it was the morning sun, the girl peered through the window, only to find a turquoise-blue comet shimmering at her. The girl shook the sleeping Luma awake and shouted excitedly, "We have to get to that comet!" The pair descended on the comet and found that it was made of ice. They looked high and low, but Luma's mother was nowhere to be found. Exhausted, the little girl sat down with a flop, utterly unable to take another step. Look! Peering down at the icy ground where Luma was pointing, the girl suddenly noticed clusters of starbits encased in the ice. Pretty good, huh? Finding starbits is my specialty, said Luma, beaming. There's ice here, but it's so warm. I'll bet there's water here, too. the two decided to stay on the comet for a while. Riding the turquoise comet, the pair continued their search for Luma's mother. Chapter 4: The Dream. One night, the girl dreamed about her own mother. "Where are you going?" she asked her mother, retreating back. Her mother's retreating back? Close enough. Without turning, her mother replied, "Don't fret, dearest. I'm not going anywhere. I'm always watching over you, like the sun in the day and the moon in the night." A wave of sadness washed over the girl. "What about when it rains, and when I can't see the sun or the moon?" Her mother thought for a moment before responding. "I will turn into a star in the clouds and wait for your tears to dry." When she awoke, the girl's face was damp with tears. "You have starbits in your eyes," said Luma to the girl. Wiping her face, the girl replied, "These are tears, not starbits. I'm crying because I'll never see my mother ever again." At this, Luma began to cry too. "Mama! Oh, Mama!" The pair traveled through the starry skies, and though they encountered many other comets, not one of them held Luma's mother. Luma was despondent. Now, Luma, the rain clouds won't go away if you keep crying," the girl said, giving Luma a squeeze. "I'll give you a present if you stop." The girl closed her eyes and said gently, "I'll take care of you." With these words, she felt a small spark in her heart. Chapter 5: Home. "The kitchen will go here, and the library will go over here," the girl said busily to herself. "Or put the gate here." Ever since the girl took Luma under her care, she'd been bustling about at a feverish pace. "It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to make a happy home." It turned out the starbits weren't the only things buried in the ice. There were tools and furniture unlike any they had ever seen, and the girl used them to build a home. Looking at the completed house, Luma remarked, "Don't you think it's awfully big for the two of us?" With a library, bedroom, kitchen, fountain, and gate, it was certainly spacious, but still, something seemed to be missing. "If only father, brother, and mother were here," the girl said wistfully. Indeed, the house was too large for its two small residents. That night, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny close to her heart, the girl fell asleep in the starship. Chapter 6: Friends. Then one day, while the girl sat sipping her tea, a tiny apricot-colored planet appeared on the horizon. From the planet, another Luma of the same color emerged. "Do you two know each other?" the girl asked the two Lumas gleefully. Despite the girl's excitement, they seemed uneasy. The two Lumas neither drew closer nor backed away from each other. Instead, they stared. Then, one Luma broke the silence. "My mama!" At once, the apricot Luma parroted back, "My mama! My mama!" The two Lumas began to dance around the girl frantically, and neither showed any sign of stopping. The girl was so charmed by this adorable scene that she couldn't help but laugh, and that's when something very strange happened. Suddenly, more Lumas began to pop out of the apricot planet. They were different colors, but they all shouted the same thing, "My mama! My mama!" The sight of all the shouting Lumas only made the girl laugh harder. "What am I going to do with all these children?" The Luma stared blankly as she doubled over laughing. "I guess we'll have to name each and every one of you." Tomorrow, once she had finished naming all of them, she would begin moving all the Lumas into the new house. Chapter 7: The Telescope. After seeing their 100th comet, a sudden thought popped into the girl's head. I wonder if my home planet is still as blue as it was. That's when she remembered her father's telescope. Peeking into the telescope, a tiny blue dot floated into the sky. It was smaller than the star bit. How strange. It's so far away, but it feels so close. She twisted the knob of the telescope, and the blue dot grew until she could make out a grassy hill dotted with flowers. It seemed very familiar to her. Zooming even closer, a terrace on the hill came into view. I used to go stargazing there when I lived on my home planet. She remembered rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she followed her father up that hill to look at the stars. She remembered how she and her brother would sled down that hill. She remembered having picnics with her mother on the hill on bright and windy days. And I want to go home. I want to go home right now. The girl burst into tears, and the Lumas didn't know what to do. I want to go home. I want to go back to my house by the hill. I want to see my mother. The girl was shouting now, her face wet with tears. But I know she's not there. I knew along that she wasn't over there in the sky. Because... she's sleeping under the tree on the hill. The girl's cries echoed through the stars, and a hush fell over the area. Chapter 8. The Wish. Though usually quite cheery, one day the girl became sad again. Luma drew closer and tried to comfort her. Mama, you still have me. And don't be sad about your mama, because she's part of you. That means she's always close by. It's like me. I love starbits because they remind me of my mama. No, the girl said, unable to stop the tears. A lonely look flickered across Luma's face, but it was soon replaced by a wide grin. I have an idea. I will transform into a comet, a soaring comet that can carry you all on this journey. With that, Luma, trailing bands of white soaring high into the sky, and just as quickly started to plummet back down. Kaboom! Kablam! The ground shook, and a bright light poured out of the crater that Luma had created. The bands of light twisted together to form a comet tail. And then, Luma emerged, reborn as a comet. The girl could scarcely believe her eyes. But how? She kept asking. Our destiny as Lumas is to transform into different things, said a red Luma who had suddenly appeared. Stars, comets, planets. We can become all of these things. When I grow up, I want to become a star that makes someone special smile, said a green Luma. A blue Luma chimed in. That Luma turned into a real cutie of a comet, didn't he? All of the Lumas together said, No more crying, Mama. Thank you, the girl said in a whisper, and she pulled the Lumas closer and hugged them. From that day on, starbits no longer fell from the girl's eyes. The comet set forth for the girl's home planet, its long tail blazing proudly behind it. Final chapter. Family. With its many Lumas and telescopes, the comet was quite a sight to behold. The girl and Lumas were proud to call it home. At a welcoming party for a new Luma, the girl gathered everyone in the kitchen and said in a louder voice than usual, All right, everyone, let's make a cake sprinkled with star bits. Then it'll be a star cake. The Lumas excitedly began to gather the ingredients. As she watched the Lumas scurry about, the girl smiled and thought to herself, "This is my family now. I will stay with them until they're ready to leave the nest. And when they do leave, I'll see them off with a smile. Because that's what makes mothers happiest." That night, when the girl lay down to sleep, a soft light enveloped her and reminded her of the blue planet she once called home. But it would be nice to return home once every 100 years to nap in my favorite sleeping nook. The comet carrying the Lumas and the girl continues on its journey to this very day. With more family members in tow than can be counted, it's said that the comet visits the girl's home planet once every 100 years, its proud white tail glittering in the sky. The end.
That's all.
That's all. My story's finished. Well, that was quite the story, and hopefully you could enjoy that despite the fact that I did actually mess up quite a lot, and I ruined a few parts, sadly, with my terrible reading, but that was such a sweet and such a nice, and on occasion, such a sad story, and I think it's just so nice to see a Mario game with this type of story, with this type of backstory. And while I don't think Rosalina is like my favorite Mario character, I do feel that with that backstory being thrown in there and being given to Rosalina, she's such an interesting character. And honestly, it's such a sad story to actually listen to, because it's about her leaving her home planet and her suffering with the loss of her family. I don't know if it was just her mother that was died and buried under that tree that she loved so much, or if it was all of her family. But she ended up leaving her home planet and finding a new family, a new place to call home. And I think it's just a really nice and sweet story, and that's really the last thing I wanted to show in Super Mario Galaxy. With that, that's the end. That story was really nice, and I think it's a perfect time to end off the episode, or end off the final episode, because it's just such a nice story. And hopefully this Let's Play that I've done has actually gotten you to consider playing this game and buying this game, because it's such a fantastic game, and moments like that are just so charming, and it's such a charming game overall, and God, I love it. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next Let's Play I do.